Roman is the biggest bad guy character in professional wrestling.
When's the last time you got laid?
French toast is the exchange student that you have like a 3-week affair with.
Like, we can see that you don't have pants on.
Can we tell the truth about Dusty sooner or later?
Bro,
like-
less people wanted that than are currently watching our stream.
And you know Vince, and you still think, are these true? It's like...
Welcome to the Mark It Down podcast.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Mark It Down podcast. It is Thursday night. I am James Gisanti, and you know what that means. We are in the Gym Pack Zone, where we cover all things TNA and Impact. I think I can fairly say it, guys, at this point. I'm good. I'm good on the TNA and WWE relationship. I'm not enjoying it right now. And I want to. I'm happy about the exposure that our TNA stars are getting. I'm happy about the exposure Jordynne Grace got. I'm happy about the exposure that Joe Hendry is getting. Hi, Nick, in the comments asking, I don't like Izzy Dame. I can't like her. I can't dislike her. I don't know who she is. I just don't know who she is. I feel that even though I don't watch all that much NXT, I'm familiar enough with the product to know who the recognizable names are. And she's not one of them. And she's an unrecognizable name on the developmental brand for WWE. So, not great. Not great, Bob. Not great. I want to root for this. I want to see TNA prosper. I want to see these stars shine. And we are seeing that on NXT television. We're seeing the benefits of TNA's best, brightest, shining stars on NXT. And in TNA, we're getting people. I don't want to belittle any of the talent. This is not a knock on any of the talent. And quite frankly, we did get a little bit of a gem tonight, and I'll talk about him gladly in Charlie Dempsey. But we're sending over stars, and we're getting rookies. And it's not making me happy. I'm not thrilled. I'm not loving it. But I'm willing to let it play out a little bit longer because, one, it does seem like this relationship between WWE and TNA is going to be long-lasting. It's going to be here for a while. So I'm just hoping that we're starting to see TNA get the love and not just certain TNA stars that I'm sure WWE are going to want to grab up when they can. Yes, we are here to cover Impact, but of course, like I said at the start of the show, this is covering all things TNA, all things Impact. And it was recently reported that Jordynne Grace's contract was recently amended to end instead of the summer of 2025 in January. This upcoming January 2025, Jordynne Grace will become potentially a free agent. Now, don't get me wrong. Jordynne Grace deserves her roses. She deserves her flowers, and she deserves all the praise and recognition in the world. And in fact, she's been in TNA for, I believe, close to 7 years. There's not much more for her to do. I understand that, and I respect that for her. But there's a reason why WWE is highlighting Jordynne Grace, and it's not just because she's the Knockouts World Champion. It's because they want her, and they're going to take her. So is this a relationship that's mutually beneficial, or is TNA going to become a feeder for WWE? And we've seen what happens to the feeders for WWE. It doesn't end well. TNA might be a bigger name in terms of WWE feeders in a long time, but they don't last, or they get absorbed by WWE. I don't want that to be the case for TNA. I don't want that to be TNA's future. It's too good a brand. It's too good an alternative for them to just become WWE's AAA farm system. I don't want that. So I apologize if I was too negative with any of this. I did, for the most part, enjoy tonight's Impact. It wasn't one of my favorite episodes, but I did definitely have things I enjoyed. And I do mean it when I say I am rooting for this relationship to be mutually beneficial and to be prosperous. But so far, I have been more disappointed than not. So we will get into that, I guess, at some point. Nick in the comments saying they literally have people in NXT actively competing that used to be in TNA. The people that jumped over shouldn't be that hard to figure out. I completely agree. I'm going to get into it in a little bit, but as we saw Charlie Dempsey get involved tonight against the Rascals, and we've seen that now the Rascals showed up on NXT this last Tuesday. It wasn't just Joe Hendry that showed up, which was awesome all around. I've been waiting for this Rascals reunion between Wes Lee and Zachary Wentz, and now Trey Miguel. Mind-blowing to see these guys interacting again. Loving it. The ramifications, again, we'll get into it. But, yeah, doesn't feel great. Doesn't feel like we're getting this to the utmost degree that we should. But starting out the show tonight, before our first matchup, we find out who it was who attacked Nick Nemeth last week. And it is revealed to be none other than, you probably guessed it, Frankie Kazarian. Nick then showed up and beat up Frankie before security finally pulled him off. And we also found out that it was Ryan Nemeth who was recording Frankie Kazarian last week, which is a nice play on the Hollywood hunk and his long tenured time as a videographer, as we've seen on Being the Elite. So those skills coming into play here, I like it. And no big shock that it was Frankie who took out Nick Nemeth. We then go to our opening bout as Jordan Grace had a Knockouts World Championship Open Challenge. As you can tell, as the comments have said from Nick, and as I'm going to be ranting a little bit more about, her challenger was NXT's Izzy Dame. Now, guys, I do apologize. If there are Izzy Dame fans out there, if I am speaking out of turn and I just don't know who Izzy Dame is, and that's on me, I'm sorry. But it shouldn't be somebody that I have to figure out who it is. It shouldn't be somebody that isn't already a universally known name from the NXT brand or from the WWE brand. So I like to think I'm pretty well informed on the wrestling world. I like to think that I at least know everything that's going on, even if I'm not watching everything that's going on. And this was just okay. And I will say, when I saw the Tatum Paxley match, when Tatum came over and took on Jordan Grace and challenged her for the for the TNA Knockouts Championship, I could at least say I was impressed with that matchup. That I became more open to watching Tatum as time moved on. I can't say the same here, and that's not a knock on Izzy Dame. It's just this match didn't really deliver all that much for me. But before we get into the match itself, let me acknowledge the fact that, of course, the concierge came out and did his thing. He insulted the crowd, told us how Ash by Elegance would be watching this matchup very closely via satellite, that she is on vacation at a resort that none of the Philadelphia crowd would have ever been able to afford, but she would be watching intently. Getting to the match itself, again, it was fine. Nothing really popped out from, and I'm sorry, I love Jordan too. You know, I'm a huge fan of Jordan Grace. You know that I will always have good things to say, but just the match didn't really wow me. What's up, Navarro? Thank you for being here. I do very much appreciate it. I did enjoy TNA, but I am not enjoying this relationship with NXT, pal. I'm just not. And I don't want to be that guy. I don't want to compare everything. But so far, the TNA AEW relationship is blowing the TNA WWE relationship out of the water. Because really, it's just TNA and NXT. What's up, World's Worst Entertainment? Always happy to have you here. You're saying Drew's about to show up in TNA. From your lips to whatever God you may believe in's ears. That would be fantastic. I would love to see Drew show up. I would love to see AJ Styles show up. There are so many people from the WWE side of things that it would make so much sense to see them show up in TNA, and we just so far haven't gotten it. We just haven't. And it's a bummer. Yep, it's a bummer. Navarro saying it's hurting TNA more, right? And I don't want to say it's hurting TNA currently. It's not hurting TNA, but it's not benefiting TNA, and that's the big thing. We've already seen some of these TNA stars show up in NXT and feel like so much bigger deals. Jordan Grace, everyone loves Jordan Grace right now, and I love that because she deserves it. Everyone is saying his name and believing in him. Joe Hendry. It'll happen, I promise you. One day, it's just going to pop up. But no, it's those are talent that we know WWE is hoping to pick up. We're seeing talent highlighted that I'm sure HBK and Triple H are like, I want them. I want them. And we're getting Izzy Dame, Tatum Paxley. We're getting, again, nothing against. I like Charlie Dempsey. I want, if you're going to send over NXT talent, send over Trick. Send over Tony D'Angelo. Send over your names. Jordan Grace could go and mess with Roxanne Perez, but Roxanne can't come over to TNA. Come on, guys. Deliver. World's Worst Entertainment saying, Drew posted today, WWE suspended me. Guess I got to go somewhere else. Slammiversary is a week away. Give it to me. Please give it to me. I don't know where you'd fit him right now. He's not going to go in that title match unless they take someone out next week on Impact, which would be crazy. But, okay. Nick in the comments saying they could literally send Mia Yim over and it would be way better than whoever else they've sent so far. Nick, you get it, man. You absolutely get it. I appreciate you. I'm going to even say it. I'm going to say it. I'm not afraid to say it. I love you, Nick. Thank you. World's Worst Entertainment saying Drew versus Moose for the TNA World title. CM Punk shows up and you know the rest. Why you got to hurt me, man? In my mind, I'm fantasy booking Drew McIntyre winning the TNA World Championship, and in your mind, you're hurting me with CM Punk ruining my life in another company. 3 companies he's making me miserable in now. You're killing me, World's Worst. You're killing me. When Drew finally faces CM Punk, Rollins will screw CM Punk. Mark it down. Maybe. Maybe. Not a bad prediction. We'll talk. We'll talk. World's Worst Entertainment. Joe Hendry on the WWE roster on their website. You've been swerved, TNA. That physically pains me. It pains me. I'm so happy for Joe Hendry, who because it's going to be when, it's not if, when he goes to WWE, is going to do very well there. But this sucks. This sucks. Nick, fantasy booking, Obafemi versus Moose. I would put so much money on that matchup. Give me my big, meaty men slapping each other's meat. Oh, yeah, and have all that gold wrapped up into it. That, Nick, come on, you are right. I completely agree. World's Worst saying, of course Drew goes for the title. Of course Drew goes for the title. Hendry takes the title. Drew challenges him. Punk screws McIntyre. Hendry is okay. I'll be honest. I don't know. I was so confident that Hendry was going to be the guy to take the title off Moose because that makes the most sense right now. If it does happen, it's not happening at Slammiversary next week. I think it's going to happen at Bound for Glory. And I would not be shocked if Nick Nemeth weaseled his way in somehow in between. We'll see. We'll see. But who knows? Nick Maniotis. Drew goes to TNA to beat up AC. Bravo. That I would love it. Can I imagine it? I want it now. I want it now. World's Worst asking, who do you think is the AEW masked guy? Sammy Guevara? There are some reports going around on that right now, actually. From what I've gathered, no, it's not. I believe he's where did I see it? I saw it earlier today. No, it's not someone that I'm super familiar with. It's not Ricochet, which is something a lot of people thought. It's when I find the name, I'll let you know. But yeah, no, I from what I've been told, from what I've heard, from what I've read, this is a character. This is a being that Tony Khan is building from the ground up in terms of at least the mask and how he's going to be presented. And Tony is very excited about how this character is going to come to fruition. So let's see. Always love a good masked wrestler. Nick saying he was a luchador, he believes. I think so too. I think he came from CMLL, or I don't know if it was CMLL or AAA. But yeah, it's somebody who had a different identity who's going to have a new identity here. But anyway, back to the match, guys. I apologize. That's on me. We don't go on tangents here at the Mark It Down podcast, but we do sometimes in the Gym Pack Zone. The match coming to a close as the concierge takes Grace and distracts her, and then he gets backed up into Rosemary, who chases him up the ramp. As we get back into the ring, Grace hits the Juggernaut driver and gets the 1-2-3. But yeah, 9-minute match, kind of quick. Not a lot to really speak of on either woman's side, and it's just because there's so much going on. You're introducing somebody that the TNA audience probably isn't that familiar with. You're playing into the Ash by Elegance stuff. For some reason, Rosemary is getting involved. A lot of stuff surrounding the match, but not necessarily highlighting anything that could have happened in the match. No World's Worst Entertainment. I don't think it's Rey Mysterio. I think it started with an A, but I don't know. What do I know? Not much. Moving on, we go backstage to Santino Marella, who's got a big announcement to make, and that is in regards to the main event. He is going to have a wild card tag team main event, randomly selecting the two teams, consisting of the opponents from Slammiversary's main event for the TNA World Championship. After the, I guess, slot machine like level of decision making is done, it is decided Josh Alexander and Joe Hendry would be teaming up to take on Steve Macklin and the world champion Moose. Lots of guys who are familiar with each other. So, yeah. We move on to our first men's match of the night as Zachary Wentz of the Rascals takes on Charlie Dempsey, NXT's Charlie Dempsey of what's the team's name? I'm so sorry. It's something Catch. I don't know. But we get a clip from this last NXT on Tuesday of the Rascals reunion as Wesley was going to make a major decision regarding his career before he is interrupted by his team of Zachary Wentz and Trey Miguel. They embraced, they hugged, and it was a nice segment. I've been waiting for this reunion for quite some time. I'm really hoping for a lot of back and forth between these three guys. As we come back from that promo, the fans are, of course, chanting NXT when Dempsey enters the ring. Wentz and Dempsey went to the mat early. Dempsey chopped and suplexed Wentz. Charlie then worked on Wentz's arm, and fans are chanting TNA to rally for Zachary Wentz. Zach made a comeback and only got a 2 count before Miles Bourne attacks Wentz at ringside. Dempsey then used this distraction to get the pin. This was a 4-minute match, guys. A 4-minute match. Nothing friggin' happened. Another TNA NXT interaction. Nothing really to come from it. And let me say, I don't mind that the NXT people come in and beat the TNA people, Just like I don't mind that the TNA people will go to NXT and beat the NXT people. It's all about the stories that are being told. They should intermingle. One brand shouldn't look superior to the other. So I don't mind that Charlie Dempsey won here. I don't mind that there were shenanigans involved. But this is a 4-minute match that did nothing to highlight either guy. I believe they also attacked Trey Miguel as well, and that was it. That was it. Just kind of a bummer. We then go backstage to a system promo, where, of course, Alicia has something to tell us. Basically, the gist of it being that the system are ready to face the Hardys next week in what will be the Hardys' first tag team match in TNA in 7 years. Wow. Crazy to think how time flies. We then have Moose telling JDC that Johnny Dango Curtis, that he has impressed him, and Moose talked about facing Josh Alexander and Joe Hendry later tonight in the main event. He talked briefly about Steve Macklin, saying if Macklin comes through, maybe even he can believe in the system. No, thank you. No, thank you. I've been waiting for my Steve Macklin babyface turn. I'm not going to lose it to the system. We then go elsewhere backstage as Charlie Dempsey is basking in his victory. They call themselves the most dominant faction in wrestling, and they are joined by Tavian Heights, who said no matter where they go, he will follow, whether it's NXT, TNA, or wherever. They are going to stick together, those three. Santino then approached and said that the Rascals and a mystery partner for next week, somebody who is from TNA but knows NXT, will team up with the Rascals in this match. There are names. I don't know who it could be. Sound off in the comments if you've got a thought, if you've got somebody you think it could be. But my brain immediately kind of went to, I guess, Trent Seven, but that didn't make sense because he's involved in a different feud, especially with what happens later tonight. Again, let me know. Who do you think it is that knows both worlds of WWE/NXT and TNA? We then go to a triple threat to determine the number one contender for Mustafa Ali's X Division Championship. Speedball Mike Bailey had previously been the number one contender, but Mustafa Ali felt so passionate that title matches need to be earned. They just can't be given. So that's how this match was set up. Right out the gate, all three men tried to trade pin attempts, nobody obviously succeeding. Speedball gave Gresham a series of kicks, and these are two men who are very familiar with each other, although I'm sure this version of Gresham with his octopus mask and all is a little different than what Speedball is used to. But again, we have seen this particular matchup several times in the fairly recent history of TNA. Bailey then gives Kushida a moonsault to the outside. Speedball then drop kicks Gresham and only gets a 2 count. Speedball followed for a splash for another 2 count. All three wrestlers took turns basically on offense. Kushida and Bailey had a fun exchange. Gresham tried to go for this was my all right, so I'm going to tell you guys, I have no problem saying that this next part of this match might be my favorite part of the night. You know it. No, in the gym pack zone, I love all my knockouts. I love women's wrestling. I just like you sometimes see wrestlers go between being a babyface and a heel, depending on the company they're in. Here in the gym pack zone, absolutely pro women. And I also would like to say in life, pro women. But pleasure to have you here. You know it. I have no shame in saying the next part of this match was my favorite part of the night. It was entirely silly. It was entirely campy. It involved no actual wrestling, but it was friggin' fun and it was friggin' cool. As Jonathan Gresham inks his hand and attempts to put it in Kushida's mouth, as we've seen him do to his opponents and helpless victims in the past. Kushida fights him off before spitting green mist at Gresham. This was just absolutely well done. I don't know if this means the mist is superior to the ink, or it's just because it was easier to actually hit, but these two very infamous secretions going to battle was just awesome. It's the type of thing that you would play with as a kid. It's the type of thing you would fun book in your head, and we got it. It was really cool. This allowed Kushida to put Gresham in a hoverboard lock, but Bayley is able to hit an Ultima weapon onto both of them and then pin Gresham. With this, Speedball is now the number one contender officially for the X Division Championship. This brings out Mustafa Ali, Campaign Singh, and the Secret Service guards, who all attack Bayley. As Mustafa is about to hit Speedball with a chair, Trent Seven attempts to make the save, but he gets beaten up as well, and then he is obliterated. He is just obliterated with the chair. Ali hits his leg, and it just sounds agonizing. He then puts Seven in a sharpshooter as Bayley is being forced to watch. Security finally comes to make the save. A little too late, a little too little. Thanks, TNA Security. The match itself was good. I don't mind ever seeing talent of this caliber going at it. You know it, didn't watch, but I'll hang out. Thank you. You know it. I do appreciate it. One of these days, I'll get you guys to actually watch TNA with me. It's quite the ride. Green Mist, man, versus Black Ink. It was cool. Again, I'm never going to complain when you have men of these talented calibers going at it, but it did sort of feel like we just needed to spin our wheels a little bit to get here. You know, as I've said, we have seen Speedball and Jonathan Gresham go at it at least 4 or 5 times already in some capacity. And of course, yes, this does help further the Kushida Jonathan Gresham storyline. So maybe that's the true purpose of why we got here. But I feel like you could have just had the after bit segment with Trent getting massacred by Ali and Singh, and you could have done it without the triple threat. But we're here, redundant as it may be. Speedball Mike Bayley is the number one contender for Mustafa Ali's X Division Championship. Moving on, we had quite the video package of Steph De Lander, who I really don't want to think she's going to betray him, but I know she's going to. Steph De Lander, who is spending time reminiscing about her whirlwind romance with PCO, Perfect Creation 1. Steph De Lander was on a beach, thinking about what this means to be in this relationship. She said that she never thought she would find true love, but she found PCO. She said sometimes the best things in life are right in front of you. You just have to open your eyes to see it. She recounted how being after multiple dating apps, multiple millennial men letting her down, she finally found real true love. She said she has to go back to Australia to tie up some loose ends to end some potential love interests that she had left behind, and that she hopes PCO will be waiting for her when she gets back. She then drew in the sand a heart with SDL and PCO inside of it. She's going to betray my guy, and it's going to be sad. It's going to be sad. This is not a relationship I ever needed. I don't necessarily even want it, but my man doesn't deserve to have his dead beating heart broken. It's saying his cable provider changed things up, not on my TV anymore. If it helps, neither for me. I spend $1 a month to watch TNA on YouTube. So worth it. So much good content on TNA Plus. Not TNA Plus. I don't know. TNA on YouTube. Go. If you're ever interested, I'm never going to tell someone how to spend their money. But considering how much we all spend on these streaming services for wrestling anyway, $1 is not all that bad. But just something to consider, it. And it's saying, guess I could find it on the old internet, but I'm kind of lazy. I don't blame you. I'm a dinosaur personally. I just want to be able to hit the remote and be able to watch what I watch, but that's not the world we live in anymore. Anyway, moving on from this ridiculous storyline, we then go somewhat adjacent to it as PCO's opponent, the digital media champion, AJ Francis, flanked by Rich Swann, defended his digital media championship in a Philadelphia street fight against Rhino. Rhino, of course, being an ECW original and being in Philadelphia, we are in the home of Extreme, the home of ECW itself. Can't be shocked that Rhino had this matchup. They are always, every wrestling company is always going to hit the well that is ECW when they can in Philadelphia. You guys know I love Rhino. I will always pop for the gore. I don't care where it is, who it's against, when it happens on the show. I will always pop for the gore. You guys also know that as much as I do love Rhino, it's not about him having matches anymore. It's just not. It's not bad, but he's just not delivering anything super special. And this match was no different, as the initial match lasted literally about a minute as Rich Swann got involved and attacked, interfering on AJ Francis's behalf, and both men just start to beat down Rhino. This brings out Santino Marella, and as the attack is continuing, he says they are in Philadelphia, the home of hardcore, the home of extreme, and because of that, because of where they are not some son of a guns. They are sons of bitches. Loved it. Santino, genuinely still funny in the wrestling landscape. Just always going to deliver. The crowd loves this. They start chanting ECW, and then the match continues. But not for much longer, as altogether, this may have been a 3-minute match, both of them considered. As the action spilled to the floor, Rhino had set up a table in the ring, which we were all hoping would lead to a gore or a spear or a tackle through the table in any way. Didn't happen, as AJ gave Rhino a low blow and then rolled him up for the pin. AJ and Swann continue to attack Rhino when the lights go out, and of course, when the lights come back on, who else but PCO? He attacks Swann. He throws AJ to the outside. He attempts to do a tope suicida through the ropes, and he hits the move, but he doesn't hit it on AJ. He hits it on the ramp, and it sounded and looked brutal. AJ then chokeslams PCO on the ramp, and AJ stands over tall with the Digital Media Championship and his fake title that I'm not even going to justify the name of because it isn't real. Most heelish thing of the night is nobody went through that table. I would have been fine if PCO or Rhino went through the table, but how dare they Chekhov gun that table and not actually pull the trigger? Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't you dare tease the table and not put somebody through it. We're adults. We are adults. Even the dog is barking at it. Moving on. Let's see this comment. $1. Guess I could stand on a street corner and hook myself to this. You know it. Again, I will never tell anybody what to do with their money. I will never tell anybody how to spend their money or how to earn it, although we are supportive here at the Market Down podcast. But up to you, pal. Moving on, we had our another knockouts match as Giselle Shaw takes on Tasha Steelz. The I guess not the what's the word I'm looking for here? The resurgence of Giselle Shaw, who was trying to rebuild herself and build a path to the TNA Knockouts World Championship, has been fun. I won't lie. I'm enjoying babyface Giselle. I think she works better as a heel just because she's so good at it, and I don't necessarily think her personality is coming out all that well as a face. It hasn't been bad. It hasn't been unwatchable by any stretch, but I just don't think she's thriving the way she did as a heel. We'll see. I would love to be proven wrong. And no matter what, babyface or heel, I do like Giselle Shaw a lot. I love Tasha Steelz too. I love when she gets used properly. And this was a fun matchup. As Giselle is making her entrance, she attacks her on the apron, sending her flying to the outside. Steelz put Shaw in a chin lock, and then Shaw rolled up Steelz for a couple of 2 counts, but no cigar. Steelz then countered with a super kick for a 2 count of her own. Then Tasha dropped some elbows on Shaw. Giselle makes a comeback and got a 2 count after a shock and awe, which, by the way, I got to just say it. Maybe I'm an idiot. I love the fact that shock and awe, you put it together and you get Shaw. I will forever be into the wrestling name puns. When wrestlers' name moves after themselves, whether it's the educator, the execution, the page turner, the rock bottom, whatever you want to call it, I love when they do that. But this was just brilliant. This was such a subtle way of doing it, and I support it, and I support Giselle Shaw. After the 2 count for the shock and awe, Shaw is able to connect with a running knee to Steels and gets the pin. Again, lots of quick matches tonight. Lots of quick matches. I think the longest match was like 8 minutes so far. This match was 5 minutes. I'm nervous for the Knockouts division because everything is centered around Jordynne Grace right now. It's going to be interesting to see if they have Ash by Elegance take the title off her. Granted, there are apparently a lot of options now. Giselle Shaw. Rosemary has implanted herself with the concierge, so who knows if that leads to a feud with Ash by Elegance, or if that was to protect Jordynne Grace, which may get her a shot of her own. But I don't know. Something with all of the attention on Jordynne Grace and where she's going, instead of just being the Knockouts champion and all these open challenges to NXT stars, I don't know. The Knockouts division is always going to be one of, if not the best women's rosters in professional wrestling, and it's always going to be probably the best booked. But I don't know. Just got my spider sense is tingling. So we'll see. We then go backstage to an interview with Zaya Brookside being interviewed by me, Gia Miller, hardest working woman in TNA. Zaya said she was going to go for revenge against Alicia Edwards after costing her match against Masha Slamovich last week. Zaya said she had that match won if it wasn't for Alicia, so she is gunning for Alicia for next week. Gia then asks about Steph De Lander. Zia says that Steph was one of the strongest women she knows, and true love conquers all. This is going to turn into a mixed tag, isn't it? We're going to get PCO and Zaya Brookside against AJ Francis and Steph De Lander. You heard it here first, folks, and it makes me sad. Going to the comments, we got Nas in the house. What up, Nas? Thank you for being here, my brother. Always appreciate it. Do you think Jordynne Grace leaves TNA for WWE at some point? We did talk about this a little bit in the beginning of the pod. I'll briefly recap it, but Nas, you're always welcome to go check it out in the beginning. But as of right now, yes, it is a certainty, as far as I can tell, that she will, in fact, be going to WWE. It was reported in this last week. I don't know if it was today or yesterday or whenever, but it was reported that Jordynne's contract with TNA was amended, that it was supposed to end in the summer of 2025, and it has reportedly been amended that it will now end in January of 2025, meaning she's going to get scooped up by WWE. And as I've said before, I am very, very happy for Jordynne Grace. She has been with TNA for, I think, close to 7 years, if not already 7 years by now. She has done everything there is to do in TNA. She even won a men's title in the Digital Media Championship. Now, I won't lie to you. I would have no qualms about her going for the World Heavyweight Championship. I think she's that good. We've seen it happen already in TNA with Tessa Blanchard winning the Impact title from Sami Callihan. So I wouldn't mind somebody who isn't so toxic and isn't so canceled to get that shot and be that for TNA again. But I think she's leaving, and I think she's going to go straight to WWE. It is what it is. Moving on. So sorry. Moving on. We then have a singles match between Chris Bay with Ace Austin of the ABC taking on JDC, Johnny Dango Curtis. This match I felt got to breathe a little bit more. Again, only another 5-minute match. Bay had the advantage early and does a dive over the top rope onto the floor onto Dango. Dango then knocked Bay off the top rope into the floor. Back in the ring, Dango gets the advantage, and Brian Myers, Eddie Edwards, and Alicia Edwards walk out to show their support. Chris made a comeback with a series of moves before getting distracted as Ace Austin and Brian Myers are brawling on the outside. Bay then does a dive onto Eddie, and as Bay is trying to get back in the ring, Eddie grabs his leg, keeps him sort of between the ropes, allowing Curtis to hit a diving leg drop from the top rope to a incapacitated Bay, giving Curtis 2-3. After the match, Ace Austin comes in and sort of pushes Dango before getting jumped by the rest of the ABC as the ABC, the system, as the system stands tall over the ABC. I'm not mad at the outcome. I'm not mad at Dango getting the win over Bay, especially I'm really, really hoping the ABC takes the titles back. Really, really, I mean, granted, I'm never going to root against the Hardys winning the titles, and no matter the company. But I am rooting for the ABC to get the title win. So if this sets that up, I'm cool with it. Again, 5-minute match, though. Too quick. And I never lied. I never hid the fact that I did not care for Dango's previous character in TNA, where his whole gimmick was, I don't like professional wrestling. I much prefer this. Granted, I didn't hate having Vladimir Kozlov himself. What's his name? Oleg Proteus was his name here in TNA. I don't mind him being here. I kind of miss him. But that said, I do think this is a much better direction for Dango, for Johnny Curtis's character. And as long as he could tone down certain things and amp up other things, I think this is a good fit for him and could potentially lead to some really good stuff for him personally. Time will tell. But moving on, we then get a hype package for the Hardys for next week. Again, very excited at the aspect of the Hardys potentially winning the TNA tag team titles. My gut's saying they're not going to, at least not on this attempt, but who knows? I'm never going to bet against Jeff Hardy when it comes to wrestling. But now we are here for our main event, as we have Joe Hendry and Josh Alexander teaming up to take on world champion Moose and Steve Macklin. After all four men made their entrance, Hendry, of course, gets on the mic and says, you guys know it's always time to listen to Joe Hendry. He talks about dancing Moose. Yep. He talks about Steve Macklin saying he's always talking about tagging and bagging, or bagging and tagging. And he said that after this match, all Macklin would be bagging were his groceries. Good line. Good line. I think it got a little bit of a chuckle out of Macklin. After that, Frankie Kazarian's music played. He walked to ringside and he hops on the commentary table. He hops on commentary behind the table. As the match started, both Moose and Macklin tagged in and out frequently to keep the advantage. Steve giving Josh a caught in the crosshairs for a 2 count. Alexander then giving Moose a Rana. This allows Joe Hendry to make the hot tag. Hendry giving Macklin and Moose follow-away slams. Hendry then giving Macklin a cutter. I like it. And powerbombing Moose. God, it cannot be said enough how powerful Joe Hendry is, how deceptively strong Hendry is. Macklin then gives Hendry a running knee, and then Josh hits Macklin with a series of suplexes, and the crowd is super, super into it. I do also want to acknowledge that commentary made a point of talking about Hendry being the last person to pin Moose in a one-on-one match. And I believe, I don't know if it's close to 2 years or close to 3 years, but a while, guys, a long while. And again, I don't know if that's a plus for Hendry for him likely being the guy to take the title off Moose, or if this is unfortunately a sign that he won't be the guy to take the title off Moose. But either way, we are building towards that matchup. I think it's just a matter of when, not if. We then get all four men fighting in the ring. Moose and Josh trading punches. Josh then clotheslining Moose. Hendry went for the standing ovation onto Macklin, but Frankie got on the ring apron. That darn Kazarian. Moose then knocked Josh into Hendry, knocking Hendry out of the ring. Moose then gave Alexander a spear, allowing Macklin to then hit the KIA onto Josh, getting the 1-2-3. The bad guys win, folks. Well, all right, one bad guy won. I'm all in on babyface Macklin. Macklin and then Moose argue after the match, and that's the end of Impact. Again, it was a fine episode. I don't really I feel bad complaining. It's just I didn't get enough. There wasn't enough wrestling. We got a lot of matches, but they were all super quick. I am really, really not into how the TNA NXT relationship is being handled currently. Again, very, very willing to see that turn around, especially if, as all reports are indicating, this is going to be happening for the long haul. But yeah, I don't know, guys. I don't know. I'm hoping I get to be proven wrong, and I'm hoping we get to see some big guns coming to TNA very soon. You guys know, Survivor Series, not that far off. I know it's a pipe dream, but a guy can wish. But yeah, guys, that was TNA. That was Impact. What did you think? Loved it? Hated it? What do you think of the NXT relationship? Love it? Hate it? Let me know. Leave it in the comments. I, of course, appreciate you guys joining me here in the Gym Pack Zone tonight. It always makes my heart a flutter. You guys know the deal. If you're new, thank you for stopping by for the first time. We appreciate you. We hope you come back. If you wouldn't mind, hit that subscribe button. That way, the more the merrier. We cover everything here at the Market Down Podcast. We cover WWE. We cover AEW. We cover TNA. I am going to do my damnedest to cover the New Japan G1 Climax. Might kill me, but I'm going to do my best. And of course, if you are already following us, thank you. We appreciate you. Always love when you guys stop by, as we had a lot of frequent commenters in the chat tonight. I love you. Thank you. And if you want more of us, not just here on YouTube, check us out on any of our social media platforms where you might already be watching us. Or if you're not, check it out anyway. We are on Facebook. We are on X. We are on Instagram. We are on TikTok. We're everywhere. We're everywhere. We like to have fun. Danny makes some very funny memes. We like to make very funny comments at those memes sometimes. Join in. Hit the ha-ha button. Or at the very least, the little heart in the corner. Guys, I am James Gisanti. I appreciate you for being here. I appreciate you, Nick. Thank you for stopping by. Gym Pack forever. Absolutely. You know it, saying, okay, bro, later. Good job on the breakdowns. I appreciate you know it, just like I appreciate everybody here. I am James Gisanti. This is the Market Down Podcast. And on Thursdays, this is the Gym Pack Zone. As always, watch wrestling. And, of course, watch TNA. Have a good night, guys.